Okay, welcome to Concrete with the Hosses. Today's video, I want to talk about how to prepare for meeting with your contractor. Some questions you can ask, things you should think about before he gets here. I'm going to shut this down, have it nice and quiet, and get started. We'll start out here at the street. One of the questions for your contractor: how are you going to get from the street into my backyard? What are you going to do to protect my yard? Or if nothing, then just know that somebody's going to be responsible to clean up the grass, to do some landscaping. Now that may be on you, and that's okay as long as you know it before you get started. It could be on the contractor. He might say, well, we always take care of that. So just have that conversation prior. We use traction mats, put them down, and most of the time, very little work needed after the fact. So that's how we get down here. So have that conversation with your contractor. Secondly, you're looking at this area a lot longer than me, your contractor, coming in here. So one of the first questions I ask: what do you want to do in this area? So in this project, we want underneath the footprint of the deck for some nice shaded seating, as well as a bump out here to get some chairs out here in the sun when desired. So that was the first thing I asked when they called for a patio. What do you see on the patio down here? What type of furniture? So now you can start putting some sizes together. So if you could think about that before I would get here to give you a price, that makes the meetings go real good. You can get a can upside down paint and a tape measure and get some lines going, and then you know about your square footage, and then it makes it easier to give a price, and you can plus or minus these as much as you want. If you don't have upside down paint, Donna always recommends get a garden hose and lay it out. Now, if you want to put a full-size table out here, you know it's not enough room. So you can move that garden hose out, get it to the shape you want, and then paint it on the ground. So maybe we'll end this for right now, right there. That's the conversation I had with this homeowner, and he had already watched some of our videos. He had already went to our website, and he looked at what we've already done, and he said, I like picture such and such with a border. So just know, so ask your contractor before they get there, do you have a website to look at? Do you have a YouTube channel? How can we see some of your work? Vet your contractors. Make sure you're getting somebody, the right person for the right job. Okay, we'll pick this up again in here in a minute. Okay, a good question is, are you going to put a stone underneath of your concrete for drainage? We typically use limestone. I like how it locks together. Nothing at all wrong with using gravel. I just prefer this. The important thing is that you use something. Also, you notice how we have a high side here. It's nice that that aggregate is going to be able to drain out. If it's just sitting low in there, now it holds water and it could create issues in the wintertime. Great question to ask your contractor. What kind of base are you going to put in? We'll go over reinforcement next. Okay, with our forms done, next thing we could talk about is our reinforcement. You can see how we have wire mesh and rebar on top. We pick that all up in the concrete. Now sometimes we'll use chairs. You can ask that question: how do you keep the reinforcement up? Do you pick it up as you go? Do you leave it on the bottom? Do you use chairs? I like using chairs. We'll do a couple in here, but the buggies come in and just crush them. So you'll see a combination of picking the wire up and chairs. The reinforcement does very little if it's just left on the bottom, so ask your contractor about that. And the more questions you ask them, it sounds like you know what you're talking about, and it's important you do know what you're talking about. So that's why I feel this is a good video to make. You can also use fiber mesh in the concrete. We use that quite often. However, we don't use it in our stamp mix. Sometimes it pulls the edges on the stamp and you can see the fiber. I feel we get a cleaner stamp without fiber. So that's why we choose to use the wire mesh and steel 1/2-inch rebar. More and more common are fiberglass rebar. Nothing at all wrong with them. There's some benefits to those and there's some downside to those. The benefits are they don't rust or corrode or expand and contract in the heat and cold. The downside is they don't have the shear strength that steel does. So that's why we typically do the steel. Okay. Our reinforcement is up on chairs. This is what a chair is. They come in different forms. We use a triangle and it just holds the reinforcement up on the bottom half of the concrete. Now when you're pouring, they call this a slump. This is about a 6-inch slump. If you had a cone and you pull the cone off, the concrete will settle about 6 inches. If you pour it too wet, it's not strong. You get your most durable concrete in a 5 or 6-inch slump. There's chemicals you can put in it to pour it wetter, called super plasticizers. Okay, see how it's just not flowing everywhere? That's what you're looking for. If you pour it and it just runs everywhere, you're probably going to have problems with the strength of the concrete. Okay, we covered a lot up to this point. Let's go over a little bit of crack protection. It's important on these pads, as well as any pads, you allow the concrete to crack somewhere there. It's a natural thing for the concrete to dry and shrink and get a stress crack somewhere, a shrinkage crack, a wintertime freeze crack, something. So if this patio here, we needed a center cut right down there. The reason being, this is going to want to heave a little bit in the wintertime with all this topsoil holding moisture. There's going to be moisture under this patio and it's going to want to heave. It'll get pinched at the post, even though we have Epifoam joint wrapping around the posts and expansion against the house for a little bit of cushion. Is it enough? Possibly not. When this heaves, it'll hairline crack right where we want it to, and it won't be a phone call. Secondly, we always get stress around these posts. You can see we ran our border cuts all around it, gave it some relief this way, and I ran a cut off of there. This pad out here is small enough, it can just float a little bit. Let's go up and look at the driveway. We did not do this work, however, I like what they did here with these corner cuts. We do that quite often. As a vehicle rolls over this, that corner is going to want to snap. I don't see it in there. Let's look at a couple more. Center, and then dividing it up, same thing over there. This is all just for crack protection. Here's a key place where it will probably crack, and if they would have moved a cut up here, even just add one, you can see we got a fracture right here because it's so skinny. And look over here, we have two. So we would have put a cut there and one here and maybe avoid that. Is it going anywhere? No, but you just like to avoid a crack whenever you can. So there we covered the patio, driveways. Ask your contractor what they're going to do to limit the amount of cracks, knowing you're not going to eliminate 100% of them, but you want to keep it to a minimum. What are they going to do to keep you from calling them back in the future? All right, we have one more thing to cover. I hope you're taking notes through these. Write these down. Have a nice itemized list of questions to ask your contractor, and then give yourself a couple of spaces for his answers, and then you can compare answers as you vet the contractors coming to give you a quote.
Hey everybody, I wanted to make that video on site so you could see exactly what I was talking about, the sub base, about the reinforcement. I hope that was helpful. Like I said in the video, take some notes. You may have to watch it a couple times and just make sure you get a good feel for what I was talking about. A couple things I wanted to add. I just made a list. I didn't want to make the video too long. I wanted it to be under 20 minutes, just nice and quick. But it's important information. Ask your contractor, are they insured? If they have workman's comp on their guys, if their guys have liability insurance. Just a couple of questions just to know that if they come onto your property, one, do damage, two, if they get hurt, is that on you or on them? You just want to make sure you're protected these days. How about ask the questions, how would you like paid? Do we have to pay a percentage up front? How we do it, we accept some money to get on our schedule, and then on big projects, and this is for all the contractors to decide how they're comfortable. I don't see anything wrong with paying a little bit up front to secure your position with the contractor. But as the contractor works through the project, if he needs a payment, that shouldn't be a problem. But save a percentage of what you owe him at the very end. When you're 100% satisfied, go ahead and make your final payment. And you don't have to be like nitpicky about it, but I'm sure you're paying a lot. People pay us a lot of money for projects, and we want to deliver good projects. And I know I'm using too many words to get there, I'm sorry. But have a little negotiating power at the end of your project. Hey, I still owe you 20, 30, 40, 50%. You're not going to get it until XYZ is taken care of. And chances are they'll come back and take care of it quicker, sooner than later. A couple other things I forgot to mention on site. What PSI concrete are you using? We typically use 4,000 or 4,500 PSI. Anything less, in our climate, with freezing and thawing, I'm not sure you're gonna be getting a durable driveway or a patio. 3,500's questionable. You can still do it, but I'm just telling you where we're at. You want to make sure they're not using footer mix on a driveway. So ask them what mix are they using for their concrete. Another thing I did not cover was sealing. On a driveway, cars are driving over it. Nobody ever puts salt on their driveways. I know that. I hear it all the time. But it does drip off your car, underneath the engine. It's warm, it's hot, it melts it refreezes. The salts and corrosives get into concrete and they do damage. So it should be sealed. It has to be sealed. So who is going to do that? If they're not doing it, just know you should do it. Have that conversation. And then maintenance. Should it be sealed one time or every 3 years? Different projects, I recommend different things. Our sealers are a 5-year sealer. We recommend doing it every 3 to 4 years. I think we covered a lot of material in there. We're gonna add to this video. In comments, let me know your thoughts. Hey, I wish you would have covered this. This video could be way longer and I didn't want to do that to you. I think it's a good start. We'll call this round 1, what to ask your contractor. Have a good day, everybody.